Breakups always look different from the outside. People think it's about screaming, crying, blocking numbers. Ours didn't end like that. She cheated. I found out. She moved away. I didn't yell. I didn't even ask why. I just let her go. Her name was Leah. We were together for a year and a half, but the last few months were hollow. I knew something was wrong, little signs. She stopped laughing at my jokes. Her phone never left her hand. Her bedroom, once always warm and chaotic with our shared mess, became meticulously clean. Like she was getting ready for someone else to see it. She moved 2 towns over not long after we broke up. I only found out where by accident. One of her tagged photos on Instagram had the neighborhood name in the background, a stupid boutique bakery she always dragged me to. I recognized the street. I wasn't stalking her, not really. I never talked to her. I never liked or commented. I didn't have burner accounts. But sometimes I'd drive through her area after work, and if I had time, I'd park and walk a block or 2, just to look. Not at her, just at her windows. I knew the code to her door. That detail haunts me in hindsight. It was a 4-digit number, barely changed since college. She never thought to update it, even after we broke up. She trusted patterns. She thought they were comforting. I used to tease her about it. I hadn't touched the door. Never even walked up to it. That's important to know. Then, a week ago, she texted me. "Are you near my house?" That was it. Just that. I stared at the message. It was 9:42 p.m. I was on my couch, in sweatpants, a pizza box open beside me, and reruns playing on low volume. Then the next message came in, almost immediately after. Someone tried to open the door with the code. My mouth went dry. I just stared at the screen, like if I blinked, the texts would vanish and none of this would be real. I hadn't been near her place in days. I didn't answer her right away. I don't know why. Maybe I was afraid of what it looked like. She texted again. It said invalid entry. They tried twice. My heart started pounding in my ears. I could hear the blood rushing. That code had worked a week ago. I saw her post a story where she came home, humming, and the lock clicked open right after the keypad beeped. I knew the sound. Someone else knew the code now. But how? I finally texted back. "Leah. It wasn't me. I swear to God I'm at home. I haven't been anywhere near you." The typing bubble appeared. Then disappeared. Then came back. She was reading it, probably rereading it. Then who else would know the code? That hit harder than I expected. Not because she was accusing me. It was how she said it. Like I was the only one who ever could have known. And maybe I was. I told her again that I wasn't there, and I could prove it. I offered to call, to FaceTime, whatever she needed. She didn't respond. I sat on my couch, staring at the ceiling, every possible explanation chasing its own tail in my head. Could she have told someone else the code? A new boyfriend? A friend? Or had I said it out loud around someone without realizing? I didn't sleep that night. My phone stayed on my chest, screen lighting up every few minutes with nothing, news alerts, app updates, phantom notifications. By morning I hadn't heard from her again. So I did something I hadn't done in weeks. I got in my car, drove the 30 minutes out, and parked at the far end of her street. I stayed in the car, windows cracked, hoodie up. Just watching. Not even sure what I expected to see. Her place was quiet. Nothing unusual. 3rd floor, end unit, facing the back alley. I used to joke that her apartment was perfect for a horror movie, one way in, one way out. A narrow stairwell, rusty lights, and that awful keypad on the door that beeped just a little too loud at night. At 8:37 a.m., she came out. She looked over her shoulder as she stepped through the door, like she was checking for something. Her keys were clenched tight in her hand. Her posture was different. Not the usual confident stride, this was someone afraid. Hyper-aware. She crossed the street and disappeared into a rideshare. I waited until the street was empty. My hand drifted to the door handle. I wasn't going to go in, I told myself. I just needed to see. I walked up the stairwell, keeping my footsteps light. My heart thudded louder with every step. And then I saw it. The keypad. Scratched. Small gouges near the number keys. Like someone had jabbed at it in frustration. Not violently, but like they'd almost gotten in and panicked. I leaned closer. Dust still lingered in the grooves. The faint smudge of a fingerprint on the 3. That was part of her code. I stepped back. This wasn't random. Someone had known. And if it wasn't me, then who the hell had been standing where I was standing? The smudge on the 3 wouldn't leave my mind. It was faint, barely a suggestion of oil or sweat, but once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. I stared at that keypad longer than I should have. The hallway was dead quiet, except for the occasional groan of pipes in the ceiling or the soft hum of someone's TV muffled behind a wall. Leah's unit was right there in front of me, the door solid and unremarkable. You wouldn't think anything had happened. But the keypad told a different story. A weird thing started creeping in as I stood there, guilt. Like just being that close was somehow my fault. Like I had summoned whatever this was just by knowing the code. Just by thinking about her too much. Like I'd left a crack open in the world and something slipped through. I turned and went back down the stairs fast. Half expecting someone to call out behind me. Nobody did. When I got back to my car, I sat there with the engine off, my hands still buzzing. I opened my phone and scrolled through our old messages, looking for anything, that might explain how someone else could have figured it out. But no. She never texted the code. Never typed it. She told it to me once, out loud, half asleep, months into our relationship. I'd gone over to her place after work, and she hadn't wanted to get out of bed to buzz me in. I remember her voice, thick with sleep. It's my old college pin. 3-1-7-9, just don't forget it. I never did. Maybe that was the problem. Back in the present, my phone vibrated. It was Leah again. Did you go to my place? I hesitated. Then typed. Yeah. This morning. I didn't go in. Just check the keypad. It's scratched up. She didn't answer for a full 5 minutes. Then, I didn't tell anyone else the code. Then another one right after. Have you talked to anyone about it? I froze. My thumbs hovered above the keyboard. There was someone I had talked to. Sort of. A few weeks ago, I was at a bar with a coworker, Mike. I'd had 2 beers, maybe 3. And I vented a little. Just general stuff, vague things about how the breakup felt off. How it left this weird, unfinished aftertaste. I might have mentioned that she'd moved and that I'd seen her new building. I think I even joked. I still know the code to her door, can you believe that? Stupid. I didn't mean anything by it. It was one of those offhand, ex-girlfriend bitterness things you say to sound fine when you're not. But I remembered how Mike looked at me after I said it. Not judgmental. Just curious. I texted her back. I mentioned the code to someone once. I didn't think they'd take it seriously. Another message came through, almost instantly. Who? And that's when I noticed something strange. The messages were coming faster now. She wasn't hesitating anymore. There was no pause between my replies and hers. Not even a few seconds. It was like she was already waiting. I sent her Mike's name. She didn't respond. The 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then didn't come back. I waited. And waited. And then my phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't a text. It was a call. From Mike. My stomach sank. I answered, trying to keep my voice level. Hey, what's up? There was a pause on the other end. Static. The sound of a breath. Then Mike spoke. You home? Yeah. Why? Another breath. You might want to check your door. My blood went cold. You might want to check your door. That's what Mike had said. I didn't answer him right away. My eyes were already drifting toward the hallway, toward the front of my apartment, where the door sat, closed, locked, and, as far as I knew, untouched. But it felt different. Like gravity had shifted subtly in that direction. Like the door had become the center of the room. I brought the phone back to my ear, keeping my voice low. "What do you mean? Why would I check my—" A knock. Not a loud one. Not frantic. Just 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Knock, knock, knock. My heart slammed against my ribcage. My breath caught in my throat. I stood completely still, like movement might draw more attention. "Mike," I whispered. "Is that you?" He didn't answer right away. Just this faint crackle of the line. Then, finally, "No." I moved like I was underwater, inching toward the door as quietly as I could. I passed my kitchen table, where half a slice of cold pizza sat uneaten. The TV was still playing in the background, some sitcom laugh track echoing uselessly against the silence in the rest of the apartment. Another knock. 3 more, slow and deliberate. Like the person on the other side wasn't in a hurry. Like they had all the time in the world. My peephole was a little cloudy. It always had this slight fog around the edges. But I pressed my eye to it anyway. Nothing. No one there. The hallway was empty. I swallowed, heart still racing, and opened the door, not all the way, just a crack, with the chain lock still on. I peered out. Looked left. Right. No one. The air felt colder than usual. The overhead lights in the hallway flickered once, barely noticeable, but enough to set my teeth on edge. I shut the door and threw the deadbolt. "Mike," I said into the phone. "Are you messing with me? Because if you're screwing around—" "I'm not," he said. His voice was low. Careful. "Why'd you call me just now?" I asked. "Why'd you tell me to check the door?" He took a breath. "Because someone knocked on my door about 15 minutes ago." My throat tightened. And they asked for you?" "What?" "I thought it was just a delivery guy who got the wrong apartment," Mike said. He looked normal. Hoodie. Beanie. But the second I opened the door, he just smiled and asked if you lived here. I felt like I'd swallowed a stone. My mouth was suddenly dry. My brain scrambled to make sense of what he was telling me. "You told him no, right?" There was a pause. "Mike?" I didn't say anything. I just stared at him. Something about him felt wrong. He had this smile that didn't move. Like it was painted on. Like he'd practiced it in the mirror. And his eyes. Mike trailed off. "What about his eyes?" "They didn't blink. Not once." We both sat in silence on the line. I could hear the distant murmur of traffic through his side of the phone. I imagined him sitting on his couch, blinds drawn, staring at his own front door just like I was. I whispered, "You think it's the same guy who tried Leah's door?" "I don't know, man. But why would someone be looking for you?" I couldn't answer that. I didn't have anything that made sense. Then something hit me, a memory. Faint but clear. Last week, I'd gotten an email. No subject. No message. Just a photo attached. It was my building. A wide shot, taken from across the street. I'd written it off as spam or some scam tactic, but now... I pulled it up on my phone. My stomach dropped. The photo wasn't from across the street, it was from Leah's old iPhone. I could tell by the metadata when I checked it again. The file name format was the same as hers. How the hell did someone get this? I didn't even know what I was looking at anymore. This wasn't just a stalker. It wasn't just someone messing around. It felt like something had slipped out of place. Like reality had torn just a little, and something cold had crawled through. Mike broke the silence. "I think we need to go to the police," he said. "Yeah," I said, barely above a whisper. "Yeah, okay." But even as I said it, I wasn't sure what I'd even tell them. That someone knew a code they shouldn't have? That a knock came at the wrong time? That a friend got a visit from a man who didn't blink? I paced the room, the silence starting to press against my skin like humidity. Then my phone buzzed again. It was Leah. He tried again. Same guy. I saw him through the peephole. He didn't knock. He just stood there. Then he whispered the code. My thumb hovered over the screen. I read her messages again. Slowly this time, as if rereading them might change what they said. He tried again. Same guy. I saw him through the peephole. He didn't knock. He just stood there. Then he whispered the code. I didn't respond right away. The image that formed in my head was too clear. Her narrow hallway. That faulty overhead light that buzzed and flickered when it rained. And him, just standing there, silent, staring at her door, lips moving without expression. Whispering. 3-1-7-9. 3179. I felt sick. I could hear it, even though I wasn't there. That's how deeply the thought dug in. I called her. No response. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Still nothing. I messaged her. Are you okay? Did he leave? No answer. The typing dots popped up, then vanished. I started pacing, chewing the inside of my cheek, mind racing in every direction. Every sound in my apartment suddenly felt too loud. Too sharp. The fridge compressor clicking on made me jump. My own heartbeat was too fast, too insistent. Then, finally, another text came through. He left when I turned on the hallway light. Didn't run. Just walked away. Like he didn't care. Something about that stuck with me. Most people who are trying to break into a place, when they're caught, they run. That's what every survival instinct screams at you. But he didn't. He just walked away. Like he'd been seen on purpose. I think he wanted me to know, she added a moment later. I think he wanted me to hear it. I typed back. Do you want me to come over? I don't even know why I offered. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was just instinct. I didn't think she'd say yes. But her reply came faster than expected. Yes. Please. Just park far. I don't want him to see your car. That shook me. Not. If he's still here. Not. In case he's watching. She was sure. It was almost midnight when I pulled into the alley a few blocks away. I killed the headlights before I turned in, letting the streetlights paint the narrow road in weak yellow. I took the long way on foot, cutting through a pedestrian walkway between two condo complexes, hoodie up, hands jammed into my pockets. I kept looking over my shoulder. Nothing. Her building looked normal. Still. Quiet. Too quiet. I went up the back stairs, my steps deliberately slow. As I reached the third floor, I texted her. Outside your door. A second later, the lock clicked, and the door opened just a crack. Her eye appeared in the gap. She looked different. Not just tired, but brittle. Like the last few days had worn her down to the edge of herself. Eyes wide, lips dry, her hair thrown up in a messy bun that looked like it had been there for a while. No makeup. No expression. She let me in and locked the door behind us. Inside, the apartment was dim, lit only by a lamp in the corner and the light from the microwave clock. Her living room looked exactly the way I remembered, same layout, same bookshelves, same old incense smell clinging faintly to the walls, but the energy was off. It felt like something had just stepped out of the room a moment before I arrived. She didn't say anything at first. Just went and sat down on the couch, curling her legs beneath her. I stood awkwardly near the door, not sure how to move, not sure if I was welcome past this threshold. I didn't change the code, she finally said quietly. I nodded. I thought about it. After we broke up. But I didn't think I needed to. I didn't know what to say to that. Maybe that was stupid. It wasn't, I said. You shouldn't have to. It was your space. She gave me this tired, ironic little smile. Yeah, well, I'm rethinking that now. We sat in silence for a while. Her place felt cold, even though the thermostat read 72. Maybe it was just in my head. Or maybe she hadn't noticed how the air here seemed to cling to your skin lately. I didn't make him up, she said. I know. He whispered the numbers like he was reciting them from memory. He didn't guess. He knew. I sat down, not close, just across from her, on the floor, back against the wall. Could it be someone you told? She asked. I shook my head. Just Mike. And that was in passing. I didn't give him the full code. Just mentioned that I still knew it. She frowned. Then how? I hesitated. My phone was still in my pocket, and I could feel the weight of it, the photo still sitting in my inbox. I pulled it out, opened it, and handed it to her. She stared at the picture. My building, she said softly. Who sent this? I told her I didn't know. She zoomed in. Then she went very still. What? I asked. She turned the screen to show me. And I saw it. In the bottom corner of the image, barely visible in the shadow between two cars, a shape. A man. Standing perfectly still. Looking directly at the camera. No features. Just the outline. But unmistakable. Like he was waiting to be noticed. Neither of us spoke. We just stared at the figure in the photo, frozen mid-glance, half-shadowed between two parked cars. He wasn't moving, but something about the way he stood made my skin crawl. Rigid. Watching. Not like someone caught on accident, but like someone posing. Leah zoomed in as far as she could. The image pixelated, breaking into blocks of light and dark, but his outline remained. Broad shoulders. Narrow face. Hoodie. Head tilted just enough to make you uncomfortable. You didn't see this before? She asked, barely above a whisper. I shook my head. I didn't notice. I thought it was just a random shot. She stared at the screen like it might blink back at her. I think he wanted us to see him. We both looked up at the same time, toward her door. It was closed. Deadbolt locked. Chain still on. But suddenly it didn't feel like enough. Have you told anyone else about this? I asked. Any friends, your landlord, police? She hesitated. I haven't gone to the police yet. I didn't think they'd take it seriously. I nodded. I understood that. This whole thing feels like it's in this weird, gray area, I said. Like just barely not enough to be actionable. Like a nightmare that never quite gives you something to hold on to. She exhaled. That's exactly what it feels like. We sat in silence for a few minutes. I watched the shadows shifting under the doorframe, every passing car outside throwing dim streaks of light across the hardwood. Leah had pulled her sleeves over her hands. She did that when she was anxious, used to do it when we watched horror movies she didn't want to admit scared her. She broke the silence. There's something else. What? I think he was here before the first time. I looked at her. What do you mean? She looked at the lamp in the corner instead of me, like it was easier to say it to the furniture than a person. I kept finding little things out of place. Weeks ago. I thought I was just tired, or that I'd knocked something over and forgotten. A picture frame turned face down. A fork on the counter that I swear I put in the sink. Nothing big. Just off. She paused. But now, it feels like maybe he was testing it. Seeing what he could touch. What I'd notice. A chill slid down my spine. Not just because of what she said, but because I'd felt something similar too. I've been having dreams, I said quietly. She looked at me then. What kind? Always the same. I'm standing at my door. And I hear this voice on the other side whispering something. Over and over. But I can never make it out. Her brow furrowed. Have you opened the door? I shook my head. I always wake up before I do. She pulled her knees closer to her chest. I've been hearing things at night. Little sounds. Like whispers, but through the walls. The kind of thing you think is just your neighbors, until you realize the sound's coming from inside your apartment. The silence settled again, heavier this time. Like it was listening to us. Then, another sound. This time, not inside. From the hallway. SHHHHHHHH. A long, slow scrape. like cloth dragging against drywall, or a hand brushing along the wall as it walked past. We both froze. Leah's eyes locked on mine. Her hand reached slowly toward the lamp and clicked it off. The room plunged into near darkness, save for the faint blue glow of the microwave clock. The sound came again. Closer now. Shh. I got up slowly and moved toward the door. Careful not to make any sound, I pressed my ear against it. Nothing. No footsteps. No talking. Just stillness. I looked through the peephole. At first, nothing. The hallway looked the same as always. Yellow light. Faded carpet. Closed doors. Then, movement. From the far end. A shadow stretched along the floor before the figure came into view. That same posture. That same stillness. Head slightly tilted. He was walking down the hallway. Not fast. Not like someone trying to sneak. But like he knew exactly where he was going. He stopped 2 doors down. Then turned toward Leah's apartment. Toward us. I backed away from the door. "He's here," I whispered. She didn't move. She just stared at me, wide-eyed. I grabbed my phone, heart hammering, and opened the camera. Snapped a photo through the peephole. Then another. And another. I wanted proof. But when I checked the photos... nothing. The hallway was empty. The timestamp said 12:04 a.m. 3 photos. No figure. No shadow. Just light and air. But I saw him. He was there. Wasn't he? I stared at the photos like they might rearrange themselves if I looked hard enough. Like maybe the figure had been caught between frames. Or maybe the lens didn't see what I did. 3 photos. Same angle. Same light. Same silence. No man. But I saw him. I felt him. I could still feel him. "He's not in the pictures," I said, voice hoarse. Leah didn't answer right away. She stood up slowly, moving like she was trying not to disturb the air around her. "I believe you," she said. There was something final about the way she said it. I could feel it too. We weren't dealing with some petty stalker or a guy playing head games. That would have been easier. Safer somehow. Real. This wasn't real. Not the way we needed it to be. Not in any way we could explain or point to. "This isn't just about the code," I said, finally voicing what had been needling at the edge of my brain. "It's something else. Something we let in." She looked at me, eyes shining in the dim blue of the microwave clock. "Do you think we made him up?" It was such a quiet question. Like she already knew the answer and just needed to hear it from someone else. I shook my head. "No. I think we invited him." The night dragged on. We didn't sleep. The apartment felt tighter the longer we sat there, like the walls were leaning in by millimeters each hour. Like the ceiling was just a little lower than before. At 3:17 a.m., Leah's phone buzzed. We both jumped. She unlocked it, looked at the screen, and her face drained of all color. "What is it?" I asked. She turned the screen toward me. It was a photo. Of me. Sitting right where I was, back against the wall, eyes wide, looking at her. Taken from outside the window. I scrambled to my feet and rushed to the window behind me, yanked the curtains back. Nothing. Just a dark alley and the sodium orange glow of the nearest streetlight. No movement. No shadow. I checked the lock. Still latched. I turned to her. "This was just taken." She nodded. "Timestamp says 3:16. I checked my phone. 3:17. 1 minute ago. "I didn't hear anything," I muttered. "Did you?" She shook her head, but she looked like she wanted to throw up. I checked the window frame, the glass. No cracks. No dust disturbed. Nothing out of place. But the photo was real. I could see the reflection of the microwave clock in the glass behind me. Even the faint shape of her on the couch. He'd been close. Inches away. And we hadn't heard him. "Do you think he's watching now?" she whispered. I didn't want to answer. Because the truth was, I didn't know if he ever wasn't. We made coffee. Not because we needed caffeine. Just because doing something felt better than doing nothing. While the machine hissed and sputtered, Leah sat on the counter, knees pulled up, staring at the floor. I sat opposite her, clutching the phone like it was a weapon. And then, another knock. But this time, it wasn't at the door. It came from the bathroom. 3 soft knocks. Like someone was knocking from inside. Knock, knock, knock. We both froze. Leah slowly turned her head toward the hallway. Toward the bathroom door. It was cracked slightly open, just like it had been all night. I stood up. "Don't," she said quickly, voice sharp and small. "I just want to see." "I don't think you should." I took a step anyway. Each footfall sounded too loud, like the floorboards were protesting. I reached the bathroom door and slowly pushed it open. Empty. Lights off. Shower curtain drawn. Nothing inside. Then I looked at the mirror. And I stopped breathing. There was writing on the glass. 4 numbers, fogged into the condensation. 3179. I stumbled backward. There was no steam. No hot water had been running. There was no reason for that mirror to be fogged. And yet, the numbers hung there like breath on cold glass. I reached out. Touched the mirror. Dry. Bone dry. Leah was behind me now, standing in the doorway, hugging her arms to her chest. "He's in here," she whispered. "He's not outside anymore." And I realized something in that moment. The knocks. The scratches. The photos. They weren't warnings. They were introductions. The moment I touched that mirror, something shifted in the apartment. Not a noise. Not a flicker of light. A feeling. A change in the air. Like we weren't in the same place anymore. We stood there, me and Leah, facing our reflections in that dry mirror marked by numbers either of us should have seen again. The code wasn't just written, it was etched, fogless and clean, like it had been waiting beneath the surface for years and just now surfaced. 3179. Her voice broke the silence, barely a whisper. "We need to leave." I nodded. "Get dressed. Grab whatever you need." She didn't move. "We can't stay here," I said again. "I don't think he wants us to leave." That stopped me cold. "What do you mean?" She looked at me then, and her eyes were different. Not vacant. Not afraid. Resigned. "I had a dream last week. I didn't tell you." She leaned against the doorframe like her legs couldn't hold her up anymore. "In the dream, I was in the hallway. You were standing at my door. You looked at me and said, 'I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give it to him.'" I stared at her. "Leah." And then the door opened. By itself. And someone was behind it. My stomach turned. She stepped away from the frame like it might bite her, and moved down the hall without saying anything else. I followed. We packed fast. She grabbed her keys, a jacket, her phone charger. I stuffed things into a backpack she handed me, her laptop, wallet, a pair of sneakers. We didn't talk. Every second felt borrowed. Then the microwave clock blinked. Not off back. 3:17 a.m. I thought it was after 4. I muttered. She looked at me. It was. I pulled out my phone. 3:17. I checked the oven clock. 3:17. It had reset. Or rewound. And then the air went still again. Thicker this time. Like we were underwater. I walked to the front door. Every step felt wrong, like I was stepping into something. The chain slid back. The lock turned. My hand hesitated on the knob. And I stopped. Because I noticed something. The door was locked. But the bolt was turned the wrong way. As if someone had locked it from the outside. Leah saw it too. She whispered. How is that possible? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I reached out, turned the lock again. And tried the handle. It didn't move. I turned harder. Jiggled it. Yanked. Nothing. We were locked in. Leah backed away, panic starting to rise in her voice. Why won't it open? I don't know. Then came the sound. From behind us. A soft creak. Like floorboards under weight. We both turned slowly. It came again. Creak. From the hallway. From the bathroom. No, past the bathroom. The closet. The coat closet near the back of the apartment. The one nobody ever used. The one we hadn't checked. Leah shook her head slowly. Don't. But I already was. I walked down the hallway. Not because I wanted to. Because I had to. The way you can't help but look at the thing moving at the edge of your vision. The closet door was shut. But the light inside was on. A thin yellow line glowed around the edges. I reached out. Put my hand on the knob. And I heard it, from the other side. Breathing. Not loud. Not gasping. Just slow. Steady. Close. I stepped back. Then the breathing stopped. Like whoever was in there realized I was listening. I didn't want to open it. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to leave it alone. But it was too late for that. He already knew I was there. And the silence on the other side, it wasn't normal. It wasn't the kind of quiet you get when no one's home. It was the kind of quiet you get when someone is listening. I backed away slowly. My foot nudged something, Leah's jacket on the floor, half-zipped from where she dropped it in the rush to pack. I crouched and picked it up without taking my eyes off the door. Leah, I called softly. Get your phone. We're calling someone. Now. No answer. I turned. She wasn't in the living room anymore. The lamp was still on. The microwave clock still blinked 3:17. But the apartment felt different again. Like I was the only one breathing. Leah? Nothing. I walked back into the main room. Checked the kitchen. The small hallway toward the bedroom. Nothing. She was gone. I checked the bathroom again. Empty. Then, behind me, a click. I spun around. The closet door was open. Only a few inches, but enough to see the inside. A jacket sleeve hung limp over the edge. And behind it, dark. Too dark. Like it didn't match the light that was just in the hall. Leah! I called again, voice cracking. Still nothing. I took a step closer to the closet. Another. Then stopped. There was a sound coming from inside. Not breathing now. Whispers. Faint. Garbled. Layered over each other, like multiple voices talking at once, but all saying the same thing. Over and over. 4 numbers. 3179. 3179. 3179. My vision swam. My ears rang. I grabbed the door and yanked it open all the way. And nothing. Just coats. Shoes. A vacuum. Darkness. And cold. So much colder than it should have been. I reached inside, hand trembling, groping through the shadows. Then I felt it. A wall. Not the back of the closet. No, this was wrong. Too far in. The space went deeper than it should have. Deeper than the layout of the building allowed. I leaned in, squinting into the dark, trying to see. And that's when I felt it. A hand? Not grabbing. Just touching. Fingers, icy cold, pressing gently against my own. My body locked. My breath hitched. Then it pulled. Not hard. Not violently. Just enough to suggest. To invite. And then I heard her. Leah's voice. From inside the dark. Hey! I'm here. I yanked my hand back so fast I fell onto the floor. No! I whispered. No, no, no. She was gone. She was in there. I stared at the closet. At that impossible space. That silence. I should have run. Should have left. But I couldn't. Because I knew something else now. That man. He never needed to force the door. He never needed to break in. He just needed someone to remember. To keep the code alive. And I did. I carried it with me. I gave it weight. I gave it permission. And now it was open. The closet stayed open behind me, that impossible dark gaping wider than it had any right to. It didn't even look like a space anymore. It looked like absence. Like something that used to be there had been hollowed out and left behind a hole in the world. I crawled backwards across the hardwood, eyes locked on that space, not daring to blink. I half expected something, someone, to come crawling out of it. But nothing did. Leah's voice still echoed in my ears, soft and calm, like she was calling me from another room. "Hey! I'm here!" But she wasn't. I looked around the apartment. Her jacket was still on the floor. Her phone charger dangled halfway out of the outlet. Her coffee cup still sat on the counter, untouched. But she was gone. Like she'd stepped behind a curtain. I forced myself to stand. My legs were shaking. My chest ached with something deeper than panic, grief, maybe, or the beginning of it. Something was wrong with the world now. Off kilter. Tilted. I reached for my phone. My hands were slick with sweat. I tried calling her. Straight to voicemail. No ringing. No delay. Just gone. And then, my doorbell rang. Not Leah's this time. Mine. The apartment I hadn't been in since that night. My old place. My front door. I was standing in my hallway, blinking, confused. The light outside was morning now. Sunlight bled through the blinds. My couch was there. My TV. The same empty pizza box from the night she first texted me. I didn't remember walking home. Didn't remember leaving. But I was there. Like nothing had happened. Like all of it had happened inside a blink. The doorbell rang again. 3 times. Then a pause. Then a knock. Knock, knock, knock. I moved slowly. No fear anymore. Just this numb, cold certainty washing over me. I already knew who it would be. I looked through the peephole. And there he was. Same posture. Same tilt of the head. Same pale, frozen smile. He raised his hand. 4 fingers up. Then slowly. 1 down. 3. Another. 1. Another. 7. The last. 9. And then, softly, so soft I felt it more than heard it. "Are you home?" I backed away. Not out of fear now. Because I understood something. This wasn't about Leah anymore. It wasn't even about me. It was about the door. The idea of a door. And the person on the other side. The one we all keep locked out. Until we remember the code. Until we speak it aloud. Until we carry it with us long enough that it starts to carry us back. I turned every lock in the apartment. I shoved furniture in front of the door. I turned on every light. I haven't slept since. Because now I know something for sure. He doesn't break in. He waits. And he whispers numbers through the keyhole until you recognize them. Until you open the door. And if you're reading this, I have one question. Have you ever told someone a code you shouldn't have? Because if you have, listen carefully. You might hear him knocking.